Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the world stops. But not the determination of others to be a registered professional. Welcome to our online quiz.
Malapit na.
Handa ka na ba? Ilang araw ka lang.
Hello nurses and hello top notchers, welcome again to my YouTube channel. So thank you po sa lahat mga nag-subscribe at sa mga nag-share ng aking online videos. So patuloy nyo lang pong i-share ang aking mga channel videos para mas marami po tayong matulungan. Again, maraming salamat po sa inyong suporta at sa inyong panunood ng aking mga channel videos. And di po ako magsasawang gagawa po ng mga videos para kayo po matulungan sa inyong nalalapit na board exam. So eto na nga po, ito na po yung ating paambon at bulong sa ating NP1. So unang bugso pa lang na ito ng ating paambon at bulong at meron pa po tayong mga kasunod na videos na inyong aabangan. Okay, so start na po tayo sa ating paambon at bulong sa ating nursing practice 1. So, unang tanong, which of the following is an example of primary level of prevention? So, pag lumabas po ito sa ating nursing practice 1, tatanungin kayo ano daw yung example of primary level of prevention. So, alam naman natin, we have your 3 levels of prevention. Ang isasagot po natin dyan ay yung teaching pregnant women on nutritional practices during pregnancy. Kasi pagdating po sa ating primary level of prevention, una po dyan yung ating mga health education, mga health promotion activities. So, yung mga teaching pregnant women on nutritional practices during pregnancy ay isa pong halimbawa ng ating primary level of prevention. So, wag pong kakalimutan kapag tanongin sa board exam, ano daw yung example of primary level of prevention? Ang isagot po natin ay yung teaching pregnant women on nutritional practices during pregnancy kasi that is a part of your primary level of prevention. Health education, health teaching is part of your primary level of prevention. Next, number 2, equitable health service to Filipinos is under the banner of blank. So, ang sagot po natin dyan is universal health care. So, pag lumabas, equitable health service to Filipinos is under what banner daw? That is universal health care, yung kalusugan pangkalahatan. So, the correct answer there is universal health care. Then, next question, number 3, focus of DOH plans and policies includes what? So, ano daw yung focus ng DOH plans and policies? So, ang sagot po doon is health promotion and disease prevention. So, one of the focus of your DOH plans and policies is the health promotion and disease prevention. So, answer is health promotion and disease prevention. Kung sakasakaling may ma-encounter na tanong about the focus of DOH plans and policies, the answer is health promotion and disease prevention. And question number 4, which of the following is the basic clinical service equipment includes the following? So, tatanungin ka, ano daw yung pinaka-basic clinical service equipment maliban sa isa? So, except po ang tanong na to, ang isasagot po natin dyan is ambulance. So, ambulance is not included in your basic clinical service equipment. So, ito po ay part na po ito ng ating, ng ating management of your birthing center na itatayo ng isang nurse sa ating community. So, basic clinical service equipment includes the following, except the answer there is ambulance. Next, question number 5, quality management in establishing a birthing center. So, what is the first step to do? So, pag magtatayo ang isang nurse ng birthing center sa community, what is the first step to do? The first step to do by the nurse is to refer to DOH guidelines. So, pag magtatayo ang nurse, kailangan mo munang alamin kung ano yung guidelines ng DOH. Kasi take note, DOH po ang nagbibigay ng ating license. Okay? License for facilities. So, meron tayong batas dyan na Republic Act 4226 or yung tatawag natin na Hospital Licensure Act. So, kailangan malaman muna ni nurse kung ano yung mga guidelines ng DOH sa pagtatayo ng birthing center. So, refer to DOH guidelines first. The next question number 6, which one is requirement to establish a nurse-led birthing home? So, ano daw yung isa sa mga pinaka-requirement sa pagtatayo ng birthing home? Okay, so take note, kailangan rehistrado ka. So, meron ka dapat PRC license. Okay, so the answer there is PRC license. That is one of the requirements to establish a nurse-led birthing home in a community. Then, kapag tanungin naman sa ating birthing home, number 7, birthing homes are under what classification? So, take note, birthing homes or mga infirmaries natin, mga birthing clinics, line clinics, these are under your primary level of healthcare facilities. So, answer there is primary care facilities kasi take note, primary level lang po yung mga birthing homes natin or mga lying-in clinics natin, mga bahay, paanakan. So, kabilang sa ating primary level yung ating mga community hospitals, mga barangay health stations, we have also your RHU, and we have also your pericultures and your lying-in. So, pag lying-in or birthing home, that is included in your primary level of healthcare facilities. The next, birthing home service capability includes the following except. So, meron pong except. So, answer is detection and referral of high-risk pregnancy. So, birthing home services capability includes the following except the detection and referral of high-risk pregnancies. Then, next, number 9 question. Marie, 28 years old, called by the doctor and calls her obese and needs to lose weight. Capacity to follow the diet, exercise is an example of. Answer is perceived self-efficacy. So, itong si Marie, tinawagan siya ng kanyang doktor at nasabi siya ay isang obese, okay? At kailangan niyang magbawas ng timbang. So, kapag finalo ni Marie yung pagda-diet at pag-exercise, yan daw ay example of perceived self-efficacy, okay? Answer is perceived self-efficacy. Then next, kadugtong ni Marie jogging outside enjoyed 30 minutes. So, nag-jogging daw siya at na-enjoy niya for 30 minutes. So, she will make jogging regular and this variable is activity-related effect. Okay, so activity-related effect po yun kapag na-enjoy po ni Marie yung pagja-jogging tapos kinontinue yung pagja-jogging para malose yung weight niya kasi obese nga po siya. That is an example of activity-related effect. Okay, so that is activity-related effect. Then next, number 11, the study on correlation on the level of knowledge and immunizations and compliance to schedule theory to serve as framework is the health belief model. So, take note. So, pag lumabas sa inyong board exam yung mga ganyan-ganyan, yung mga immunization, example, yung mga measles immunization, anong model pong ginagamit natin doon? Ang model na ginagamit natin doon is the health belief model po yan, okay? So, study on correlation on the level of the knowledge on immunizations and compliance to schedule of immunization, which theory is to serve as our framework. The theory is health belief model. So, basta yung mga immunization na yan, ang theory po natin dyan is your health belief model. So, kahit pati yung ating measles immunization, gumagamit po yan ng health belief model. Okay? The next, number 12. Mother's remarks that immunization schedule is conflicting with their working hours. So, based on health belief model, this indicates, so, sabi ni nanay yung kanyang yung immunization schedule ng kanyang anak ay conflict sa kanyang working hours. So, anong example po dyan sa ating health belief model? That is your example of your perceived barrier of your health belief model. So, example po yan ng perceived barrier sa ating health belief model. And the next, number 13, tatanungin, what is ECOMAP? So, ano daw yung ECOMAP? So, take note, genogram is the relationship between family members. Pag sinabi naman natin ECOMAP, that is the connection or the relationship of the family and the rapport of the family within and outside the family. Or, ibig sabihin po niyan, yan yung relationship ng family towards the community. Okay? So, sa neighborhood po nila, that is the connection and rapport within and outside the family. That is the use of ECOMAP. And the next, number 14, which of the following best describes maturational crisis? Okay, so best example of your maturational crisis is marriage. Okay, marriage po yan. So, marriage is an example of your maturational crisis or yung tinatawag natin na developmental crisis. Okay, so meron tayong mga iba't ibang klase ng crisis. Nandyan yung mga situational, nandyan yung ating maturational, yun yung mga yun. Okay, so pag sinabing maturational crisis, yan yung marriage. The next, number 15, the public health nurse was assigned to work with elderly women. So, elderly is our priority because they are. So, bakit daw priority natin yung pag-aalaga ng elderly? So, take note, we are prioritizing your elderly kasi they are growing fast. So, elderly as priority because they are growing fast. Then next, number 16, in providing health needs, the following are considered exempt. So, alin dito ang hindi mo i-consider kapag ikaw ay mag-provide ng health needs? Ang sagot po is religious affiliation, okay? So, religious affiliation is not included in providing health needs. So, you will not consider it. So, the answer is religious affiliation kasi exempt po yung tanong. The next, number 17, the nurse tried to circumvent hearing loss while giving health teaching to a group of elderly by. So, yung nurse health education. So, meron siyang health teaching na in-impart sa mga elderly sa community. So, the nurse now will try to circumvent hearing loss. So, paano niya isi-circumvent yung hearing loss na yan? By facing the client while speaking. Okay? So, face client while speaking to circumvent hearing loss while giving health teaching to a group of elderly. And the next, number 18, pag may ma-encounter kang spousal abuse, yung asawa, binubugbog ng kanyang asawa, okay? So, kailangan yung babae i-assist natin to feel empowered. So, answer is assist the women to feel empowered. So, spousal abuse po yung ating situation dyan. So, kailangan i-assist natin yung babae to feel empowered. The next, number 19, on breast self-examination, a finding that requires follow-up would be, so nagpa-breast self-examination isang client. So ano daw yung finding na magre-require ng follow-up niya? Okay? So follow-up is needed kapag nakita natin na meron siyang irregular shape and non-tender lump. Kasi irregular shape, non-tender lump is a sign of cancerous lump. Okay? So breast self-examination finding that requires follow-up would be a presence of irregular shape and non-tender lump. The next, number 20, mother-delivered baby in the community. Okay, so merong pinanganak na baby sa community. To ensure warmth, the nurse will do the following except na naman. Okay, so para ma-ensure daw natin yung warmth kay baby, ano daw ang hindi gagawin ni nurse? So, answer is expose the baby under heat lamp. Okay, expose the baby under heat lamp. Except po yan. So, nandyan yung dry the baby, nandyan yung ilalagay si baby kay nanay, okay, or skin-to-skin contact. So, the answer there is expose the baby under a heat lamp. Okay? So, that is your mother-delivered baby in the community. The next question is vaccination to be administered at birth. Alam po natin kung ano yung bakuna yung binibigyan natin at birth. That is your BCG and your hepatitis B. Okay? Yung BCG, siyang nagbibigay ng scar formation. And yung Hepa B naman, yan yung isa nating bakuna na kailangan ibigay natin at birth, especially kapag yung nanay ay mayroong positive HB-Sag or may hepatitis B. Okay? So, vaccination to be administered at birth, BCG, and Hepa B. The next, you are advocating breastfeeding. You should emphasize the following except. So, advocating breastfeeding. So, alin daw dyan yung i-emphasize mo? Maliban sa isa. So, except negative. So, bawal pong mag-offer ng pacifier kasi that is against the law of EO 51 or yung ating milk code. So, offering pacifier is violating the EO 51 or yung ating milk code of the Philippines. So, offer pacifier when baby cries daw. That is the exact answer. Okay? So, answer is offer pacifier when baby cries. The next, the baby requires hospitalization if the following are present. So, select all that apply. Piliin ang jaundice sa soul, then convulsing and altered respiration. Kasi itong tatlong ito ay signs of danger signs of newborn. Okay? Danger signs of a newborn, yung jaundice in the soul, then convulsion or you're convulsing now, altered respiration, mabagal or mabilis na paghinga, that is a danger sign in newborn. Okay? So 145 ang sagot dyan. And number 24, return to the hospital immediately if the baby exhibits the following. Select all that apply again. Okay? Piliin ulit yung jaundice sa soul, convulsion, ano pa? Fast or slow or difficulty of breathing. Okay? Fast or slow or difficulty of breathing, yan yung mga danger signs sa ating newborn. So, return to the hospital immediately if the baby exhibits jaundice to the soul, convulsion, fast or slow or difficulty of breathing. The next, the patient is for discharge except. So, i-discharge na yung patient. Kaso nga lang, alin dyan yung makikita mo na hindi dapat siya i-discharge pa or hindi pa siya dapat i-discharge. So, the answer is feces is red. Kapag yung kanyang dumi ay pula, that is an indication that the patient must not be discharged yet. Kasi nga, pula yung kanyang dumi. So, abnormal po yun. The next, number 26, 9 months old baby, which vaccine is to be administered? So, pag 9 months na yung bata, kailangan na mainjikan ng MMR, okay? So, you have your measles, mumps, rubella. Okay, pag walang measles, mumps, rubella, your answer is measles vaccine, okay? So, MMR ang pwedeng i-inject kay 9 months old baby, okay? MMR. And the next, a 2-month-old infant was brought to the health center for immunization. During assessment, the infant's temperature registered at 37.6 degrees Celsius, which is the best course of action that you will take. So, take note, meron siyang temperature na 37.6, okay? Yung 37.6 na yan, that is a false contraindication for your immunization. Kasi take note, kapag bata kasi, di ba, nasa 36.5 to 37.5 ang normal temperature nila. So, which of the following is the best course of action that you will take? So, take note, fever less than 38.5 is a false contraindication for immunization. So, go on with the infant's immunization. So, i-inject mo pa rin yung bakuna niya kasi nga 37.6 lang naman yan. Tsaka mo lang i-withhold ang pagpapabakuna kapag ang temperature ng bata is nasa more than 38.5. Above 38.5, delay your immunization. Okay? Pero pag mas mababa sa 38.5, go on with the immunization. So, A ang sagot natin dyan. And the next 28, a 4-month-old infant named Baby Amy was brought to the health center because of cough. Her respiratory rate is 42 minutes. Take note, 4 months na yung bata. Okay? Tapos 42 breaths per minute ang kanyang respiratory rate. So, using IMCI, her breathing is considered as normal. Kasi take note, 0 to 2 months, okay? 0 to 2 months, tsaka lang magiging abnormal yung kanyang breathing kapag more than 60. Okay? More than 60 ang kanyang respiration. Okay? Kapag ito naman ay 2 months to 12 months, abnormal ang respiration niya kapag more than 50. Okay? Then, kapag ito naman ay nasa 12 months to 5 years old, abnormal ang respiration niya kapag ito ay more than 40. Okay? So, dyan, 4 months naman na siya. So, 4 months, 42, that is still normal. Kasi pag 4 months yan, abnormal kapag more than 50 ang respiration niya. That is under your IMCI for the classification of fast breathing for pneumonia. So, normal pa ang respiration ni 4 months old na may 42 breaths per minute. Then next, a 4-year-old client was brought to the health center with chief complaint of severe diarrhea and the passage of rice water stool. Okay? The client is most probably suffering from which condition? So take note, rice water stool is the pathognomonic sign of the cholera disease. So letter B is the answer. Okay? So pag may lumalabas na rice water stool sa bata, that is the cholera. Okay? So, yung cholera na yan yung naging outbreak noon sa Soho Broad Street doon sa London. Yan yung epidemiology studied by John Snow. Tandaan nyo po yan. John Snow studied the cholera outbreak in London. Year 1800s po yan. Okay? The next, number 30, a mother brought her daughter 4 years old to the RHU because of cough and colds. Following the IMCI assessment guide, which of the following is a danger sign that indicates the need for urgent referral to a hospital? Kapag yung bata ay merong cough and colds, okay, at pag meron na siyang inability to drink, which is the danger sign for cough and colds, that is a sign or that is a need for urgent referral to the hospital. Kasi danger sign na po yan, inability to drink. The next, number 31, when counseling a male patient about the possible adverse or side effects of the anti-hypertensive drugs, the nurse will discuss which potential problem. So, merong lalaki nagtitake ng anti-hypertensive. Ngayon, tatanungin ka anong maging side effect ng anti-hypertensive drug. So, your answer, nurse, is impotence and dizziness kasi nakaka-cause po yan ng sexual dysfunction, yung anti-hypertensive. So, impotence and dizziness is the answer. The next question, number 32, a health needs during perimenopausal and postmenopausal. So, this is all about your osteoporosis. So, which of the following is the appropriate response of the nurse to the woman? So, the woman should be encouraged to, encourage the woman to limit alcohol kasi alcohol increases calcium excretion. So, that is the answer for your health needs during perimenopausal and postmenopausal about osteoporosis. The next, kapag tanungin naman kayo, women at risk for osteoporosis, select all that apply. Meron dyan, number 1, decreased estrogen. Number 2, active lifestyle. Number 3, smoking. Number 4, young. Number 5, low bones. And number 6, a low dietary calcium intake. So, take note, ang nagkukos ng ating risk for osteoporosis is the decrease in estrogen sa babae. So, pasok ang 1. Tapos, smoking. The next, low bones and low dietary calcium intake. So, we have your 1, 3, 5, and 6. Yung active lifestyle at saka yung young, tanggal po yan. Yung active lifestyle, mas prone po sa osteoporosis yung mga bedridden or yung mga immobile patients natin. Okay? The next, number 34, increased risk for osteoporosis. Yun nga, prolonged immobility. Okay? So, prolonged immobility increases the risk for osteoporosis. And kapag tanongin naman sa board exam, vitamin needed for better absorption of calcium. Alam naman natin yan. Ang partner ng calcium natin is your vitamin D. That is for better absorption because vitamin D facilitates your calcium absorption. Okay, so pag tanongin naman kayo sa board exam kung anong pinaka-cheapest source ng vitamin D ng Filipinos, ang sagot po natin dyan is anchovies. Okay, anchovies or dilis, yan yung pinaka-cheapest source ng ating vitamin D sa mga Filipino. Okay, so the next we have your number 36. What type of fracture is most prone to osteoporosis? Ang sagot po natin dyan is pathologic fracture. Kapag meron kang pathologic fracture, at risk ka lalo sa osteoporosis. So, what type of fracture is most prone to osteoporosis? Pathologic fracture po yan. The next selection for menu for osteoporosis is, answer is ice cream. So, the best there is your ice cream kasi mayaman yan sa calcium. Number 38, which possible refer to physician? Should nurse monitor? So, alin dyan yung i-monitor mo at i-refer mo sa physician? Answer is increased mobility. Okay, increased mobility. Then, another question, vitamin needed for edema absorption naman. So, vitamin needed for edema absorption, answer pa rin is vitamin D. Kapag tanong naman kayo kung anong kulang sa sa scurvy, ang kulang naman sa scurvy is your fruits kasi scurvy is vitamin C deficiency. Kulang yung pasyente mo sa pag-take ng prutas kaya meron siyang scurvy. The next question, number 40, during prenatal consultation, a client asks you if she can have her delivered at home. So, nag-ask siya ng home delivery. So, ang tanong dyan is, yung findings na magdi-disqualify sa kanya for home delivery, ang sagot dyan is, letter A, her OB score is G5P3. So, pag lumabas ang tanong na ganyan, ang sagot natin sa disqualification for home delivery is yung parity more than gravida, and parity and gravida more than 5 and more than 2. So, G5P3 ng kanyang gravida. So, more than 4 gravida is a high risk for home delivery kasi. So, bawal yung letter A. The next, number 41, a pregnant woman had just received her 4th dose of tetanus toxoid. Subsequently, her baby will have protection against tetanus for how long? So, ang tanong dito is, si nanay binigyan mo ng tetanus toxoid number 4, yung 4th dose na niya. So, si nanay, magkakaroon siya ng 10 years protection. At yung baby na dinadala niya, 1 year protection lamang po yun. Kasi 9 months lang naman niya dadalhin yung baby sa kanyang sinapupunan. Subsequently, her baby will have protection kasi ang tanong, hindi si nanay. Yung baby, ang tinatanong kung ilang years ang protection ni baby. So, 1 year ang protection ni baby kahit anumang dose ng tetanus ang makuha ni nanay except yung tetanus toxoid 1 kasi wala pang protection sa TT1. Yung TT2 lang nagkakaroon na ng protection yung nanay. So ngayon, pag tanong sa board exam, TT4 binigay kay nanay, ilang years ang protection para kay baby? Ang sagot dun is 1 year lang, letter A. The next, number 42, tanong, true statements about breastfeeding. True statement about breastfeeding. So, ang sagot doon is, breastfeeding can be initiated within 90 minutes of the baby's age. Okay? So, pwede mong ini-initiate yung ating breastfeeding within 90 minutes. Pero pag tayo naman kayo sa ating Mother and Baby Friendly Hospital Initiative, ang breastfeeding dapat ma-initiate na natin within the first 30 minutes to 1 hour. So, first half hour of life, kailangan ma-initiate na natin ang breastfeeding. The next, mga danger signs naman sa labor ni nanay. So, alin dyan yung mga danger signs daw ng labor. So, piliin nyo yung maternal that reports DOB or difficult of breathing. Kapag yung nanay nahirapan ng huminga, that is a danger sign of labor kasi nag-hyperventilate na po siya. The next, bright red vaginal bleeding and uterine contraction above 90. So, above 90 contraction kasi that is the tetanic uterine contraction and it can cause uterine rupture and fetal distress. So, piliin nyo yung maternal reports of DOB, bright red vaginal bleeding, kasi sign naman yun ng placenta previa, and uterine contraction above 90, which is the tetanic contraction. Okay? The next, number 44, what is given to a woman within a month after the delivery of the baby? So, take note, lahat ng mga nanganganak na nanay, kailangan makatanggap po sila ng at least 200,000 ng vitamin A within the month. Okay? So, within a month after the delivery. So, every panganganak, hanggang 4 na panganganak, kailangan mabigyan ng mga nanay na nanganak ng 1 capsule of 200,000 of vitamin A or retinol. So, letter C ang sagot dyan. And, the next, we have your single na nanay na sa 3rd trimester na pumunta sa maternity clinic. So, ngayon, nanganak siya doon. Single po siya. So, 3rd trimester, nanganak sa maternity clinic. Ang tanong, who can sign the birth certificate of the child? So, ang sagot natin doon is any health professionals involved. Kasi pwede naman mag-sign ang nurse, ang midwife, ang doktor, or mga hilot, or mga nanay, or mga nakasaksi sa panganganak ng babae. Okay? So, any health professionals involved po ang sagot natin doon. Okay? Hindi lang pwede yung nurse, hindi lang pwede ang midwife, hindi lang pwede yung physician. Lahat sila pwedeng mag-sign. Kung sino yung birth attendant the time of delivery, siya ang magsasign ng birth certificate. So kung sino ang involved sa panganganak ni nanay, siya ang magsasign sa birth certificate. The next, PD 651 requires registration of births. Sagot, within 30 days or within 1 month. So, according to your birth and death registration law or the PD 651, lahat ng mga batang isinilang or mga batang namatay, kailangan ma-register sa ating local civil registrar office within 30 days of its occurrence. So, within 30 days ang sagot natin doon. Then, kapag ang tanong naman is about sa wrong entry na nakalagay sa birth certificate ng bata, what recourse could be made? So, kapag meron pong wrong information or wrong entry information doon sa birth certificate, the recourse of action should be to have a petition to the court. Okay? Petition to the court ang sagot natin doon. And kapag ang tanong naman is about your legitimacy affiliation, about the Family Code of the Philippines, ang sagot naman natin dyan is the handwritten instrument signed by the father concerned. So take note sa Republic Act 9255 natin, so yung pirma ni tatay na nag-a-admit or tinatanggap niya na anak niya yung bata, that is a form of legitimacy of the baby na. Okay, so wala na mga batang pinapanganak ngayon na illegitimate kasi nakay tatay na kung siya ay i-acknowledge niya yung baby na sa kanya or hindi. At si tatay kapag pumirma siya sa birth certificate or sa ating handwritten instrument, legitimate na yung bata. Then, kapag ang tanong naman is about the claiming of legitimacy, take note, pwede mong i-claim ang legitimacy mo during or entire lifetime. So, during his or her lifetime, pwede niyang i-claim yung kanyang legitimacy. Sabi ko kanina, kapag in-acknowledge ni tatay yung bata na sa kanya, pwede niyang pirmahan yung handwritten instrument natin according to RA 9255 or pwede rin niyang ipagamit yung kanyang apelyido with your affidavit to use your surname. Okay? And last, number 50, feeding technique that can put the baby at increased risk for transmission of HIV. We have your mixed feeding. So, mixed feeding can put the baby at increased risk for transmission of HIV. So, yan po yung ating mga paunang ambon at pabaon sa inyong nalalapit na board exam under your NP1. So, lahat po ng aking mga sinabi ay dapat i-take down notes ninyo para kapag ito na-encounter sa actual board exam, at least meron man lang kayong may tamang sagot. Okay? So, abang-abang lang po tayo sa ating mga susunod na upload. So, mag-upload din po ako ng ating mga paambon at mga pabaon sa NP2 hanggang sa ating NP5. So, maraming salamat po. Lagi pong tatandaan, ang mga bagay na ating pinagsisikapan ay may hatid na magandang bungang hindi natin minsan inaasahan.